We know that a lot of these people in our government are being blackmailed. I wonder why. I personally want to hear my conspiracy theorist. I think pornography websites are basically, they're able to figure out what your demented interests are. So these people, they're making you more and more perverse, more and more perverse. Suddenly you're watching some weird stuff, and then they got you watching some 12-year-old girl, whatever it is. Boom, you're under their control. And I think this is what Jeffrey Epstein, all of this stuff is about, getting men who would be in positions of power to acquiesce to some like pedophilic pornography, and then they're under their control. I really believe that.
I think you're right. And there's two things I'm going to say. First, I'm going to say they've checked my hard drives. And I love to say that to everybody who says, Andrew, you're a human trafficker. They've literally checked my hard drives. For the last 4 years, my hard drives have been checked. Check the hard drives of 99% of people in the mainstream. Go check their hard drives. Here we are 4 years into this human trafficking garbage. No one's even seen a video or a picture of a single woman claiming to be human trafficked. Right? It's completely insane. Secondly, you're right. There's also a psychological component, which I think ties into the masculine, because men are built in a way where we like to show dominance, and you show dominance in many different ways. But one of the ways you do it is by having access to things other people can't have access to. So I feel like if you get these losers and then you put them in a position of power for the first time in their life, and then you tell them that nobody's allowed to be a pedophile, but you are, that actually makes it more tempting than it was before. Not because of the pedophilic interest. It's because they're allowed to do something others can't do. And that's a power ego trip, which once again makes it more appealing. It's kind of interesting how the male mind will work. But I know if you take an idiot and you give him some power and say, you can do this, but no one else can, he's going to be tempted by that thing no matter what it is. I find it very interesting that it's Western politicians which are primarily caught up with these things, primarily. You know, like you see a Russian billionaire, a Russian oligarch, whatever, and he has a wife, and then he gets caught cheating with his girlfriend. He has some girlfriend somewhere. Cool. And then we'll be like, that's terrible. Yeah, cool, it's terrible, fine. But then what do the Western politicians do? They walk around with Michelle. They walk around with their wife, and then they get caught on islands. So, like, is that any better?
Well,
like,
why
is that
are the
worse?
Western politicians gay? That's another thing. And that is what kind of leads me to believe that a lot of these people are being blackmailed and they're being selected for these positions. I mean, Emmanuel Macron is a homosexual. There's no question about that. Zelensky is a homosexual. Trudeau, he's a homosexual. Yeah. Barack Obama was a homosexual. Yeah. And then finally, when we get in the West, a president who's definitely not a homosexual, Donald Trump, they just freak out. They completely lose their minds. This guy cannot be president. He's not allowed to be president because there's no aspect of the most extreme form of blackmail, which is like, if we know that you have engaged in pedophilia, that you've been involved in any of these weird sexual scenarios, we can control you in office. Yeah. And there's obviously the deep state thing is not a conspiracy theory. It's part of the reason why they didn't want Tucker to conduct that interview with Putin, because the first thing Putin said is like, I don't deal with your president. I'm dealing with the CIA. Yeah. Right. That is the deep state. He's like, he couldn't even
president, I don't talk to him.
The CIA is who's controlling your nations, which means that our democracy, the republic, it's an illusion.
Yep. Oh, 100% true.